If there is a nation that has defied the laws of economic reason, it is Japan. By all classical standards, Japan should have defaulted decades ago. A stock market collapse, an estate meltdown, a debt amount that makes even economists perspire. Any other nation in these circumstances would be in pieces by now. But Japan just gets on with it. No mass unemployment, no banking system meltdown, no runaway inflation. It simply exists. How did it happen? How does Japan manage to break every economic rule and continue to operate? The answer is a combination of financial magic, government intervention, and a culture that won't quit. But first, let's go back to the beginning, Japan's emergence as an economic superpower. The finance experts talked about how Japan maintained its economy in difficult times in the following tweets. But for most of you not aware of what happened, let's dig in. Imagine living in Japan in the 1980s. The country wasn't just growing, it was dominating. The economy was booming at an insane rate. Businesses were expanding globally, and the Japanese yen was stronger than ever. People genuinely believed Japan would overtake the United States as the world's leading economic powerhouse. The Tokyo Stock Exchange was burning and property prices were going through the upper roof. To give you an idea, the land under the Imperial Palace in Tokyo was valued at over the entire California real estate market. Yes, you heard that correctly. One palace more valuable than the entire state of California. That's how crazy things were. Japanese firms were snapping up American properties left and right. Sony purchased Columbia Pictures, Mitsubishi acquired the Rockefeller Center, and financial experts predicted that Japan would soon own it all. The government did nothing to stem the madness, allowing the bubble to grow to proportions never before seen in the world. Now, here's where it gets really strange. Japan isn't only drowning in debt, its economy has been sleepwalking for decades. For decades, starting in the 1990s, Japan has been trapped in the so-called lost decades, a time of economic stagnation in which GDP growth is stuck near zero. Picture jogging on a treadmill for 3 decades, getting more and more tired, and realizing you've gone nowhere. That's Japan's economy. The nation was unstoppable. In the 1980s, Japan was poised to surpass the United States as the world's top economy. Corporations such as Sony, Toyota, and Nintendo were taking over markets worldwide. Land was so pricey that the Tokyo Imperial Palace was worth more than all of California. Then, the bubble burst, stocks plummeted, property values crashed, banks found themselves saddled with trillions of bad loans. The economy ground to a halt and never quite got going again. For most countries, this would be a death blow. A lost decade, perhaps. But 3 in succession? That should be game over. But Japan persevered. How? Because the government would not allow anything to fail. The outcome? A country with zombie companies abundance. Companies that should have died years ago, but remain alive due to constant government subsidies. It's not good for it. It's not healthy. But it's effective. If you consider 250% debt to GDP to be terrible, you're right. This is crazy by international standards. To put it into perspective, the United States, always berated for living large, sports a debt to GDP of about 120%. Greece, the economy that led Europe into crisis, peaked at 180% before its economy exploded. And yet, Japan, still here. For years, the experts have been forecasting an economic catastrophe in Japan. Any day now, they predicted. Japan's debt is unsustainable, they cautioned. But surprise, surprise, that day never arrived. Japan simply continued to print money. The government continued to spend. The central bank continued to purchase its own debt, essentially giving itself a financial hall pass. It was as if the rules of economics didn't exist. Unbelievable, right? But the question is how? The solution is in the ownership of the debt. In most nations, huge debt is risky because it's owed to foreign creditors. That is, if the economy loses confidence, investors get spooked and withdraw their funds. The government finds itself drowning in debt it can't cover, and There you have it, financial crisis. Japan, however, owes its debt to itself. More than 90% of Japanese debt is held domestically by its own citizens, banks, and institutions. This means there's no foreign panic, no sudden economic fallout, and no catastrophic default event. It's like borrowing money from your own family. Sure, you're in deep debt, but your parents aren't going to break your legs over it. And then there's the Bank of Japan, BOJ, one of the biggest players in this economic puzzle. For decades, the BOJ has kept interest rates at or near zero, making borrowing practically free. It has also used quantitative easing, a fancy term for printing money to buy government bonds and inject cash into the economy. People claim this is fake, a temporary measure that can't possibly last, like putting duct tape on a sinking ship. But Japan succeeded in doing it and avoiding the type of economic collapse that would have killed any other nation. But Japan's not home free yet. If you think the financial crisis was terrible, just wait until you hear about its population crisis. Almost 30% of Japan's population is above 65 years of age, and the figure is increasing. It is a big issue because it results in less productivity, reduced tax income, and a greater burden on social services. The elderly require pensions and medical care, but as fewer young adults work and pay taxes, the system is stretched to its limit. To combat this, Japan has attempted various measures. One of the largest is robotics and automation. From autonomous trucks to robot caregivers for the elderly, Japan is heavily investing in technology to compensate for its dwindling workforce. The nation is also gradually opening up to immigration, although this is a contentious issue in a country that has long been opposed to foreign labor. The government is also attempting gradual budget adjustments to manage its debt without jolting the economy. But it's a tightrope walk. Push too aggressively and you get a recession. Do nothing and the debt continues to balloon. So, the question on everyone's mind, how much longer can Japan sustain this? For the moment, the system is functioning, but the cracks are beginning to appear. The debt is increasing. The workforce is decreasing. The monetary policies of the Bank of Japan, once revolutionary, are now under scrutiny. Some experts believe Japan will eventually hit a breaking point where the debt becomes unsustainable and the economy is forced into a painful correction. Others argue that Japan has rewritten the economic rulebook and found a unique way to operate, one that defies conventional thinking. If you believe this is a system that can keep running forever, think again. The world is looking on, and Japan's economic paradox is one of the biggest enigmas in contemporary finance. What do you believe? Is Japan staving off the inevitable, or has it discovered a secret recipe for economic longevity? Something's certain, this is a tale that's very far from being finished. But if you liked today's dive, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more finance content ahead.